Good afternoon. I'm Heather Norris, and it's my honor to serve as the Dean of the Walker College of Business. Academic excellence has long been a tradition in the Walker College. Our students place tops in the nation on the pass rate of the CPA exam, and they compete successfully at the national and international levels in such events as the CFA Institute Research Challenge, the American Association of Managing General Agents White Paper Competition, the Association of Information Technology Professionals National Collegiate Paper Competition, the National Collegiate Sales Competition, the Values and Ventures Business Plan Competition, and the Federal Challenge, a competition in which students address current economic and financial conditions. Those of you who were here with us yesterday got to hear a couple of different takes on the economy and financial condition at our CEO luncheon and lecture. So we're glad to have you here back with us again today. Today, we have the pleasure of recognizing and celebrating our students' academic excellence. This year, through the very generous support of our donors, we were able to award over $400,000 in the College of Business. That $400,000 touched the lives of nearly 250 of our students. We are so very proud of you, the students who are here today, for your accomplishments, and so very thankful to you, the donors who are here today, for helping make academic excellence a part of the Walker College. I'd now like to turn the podium over to Dr. Sherry Everts, Appalachian State University Chancellor, for greetings.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. This is another first for me, and as I look around this room, I am just so impressed by all of you. Of course, I'm impressed each and every day by our students. I think you all know just a little bit about how special and wonderful they all are. And I want to get to the part of the program that you're very much looking forward to, which is some of those stories. But I also want to thank the donors for the difference you make in the life of our students. You are helping to change the world one student at a time, and we greatly appreciate that support. Thank you so much, and thanks for being here.
I'd now like to introduce our featured speaker, Michael Brown. As you can see in his bio in your program, Mr. Brown retired in June of 2012 after a 28-year career with Lowe's Company. He's got a very progressive time in his 28 years there. He served in many roles, most recently as the Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer at Lowe's. Previously, he served in roles including store manager, merchandising vice president and vice president of specialty sales, regional vice president, senior vice president, and executive president of store operations. He now owns and manages a number of different endeavors, including the Mike Brown Ford Subaru LLC, MPNW Property Management LLC, and the others that you can see listed in the program. In addition to that, Mr. Brown is a supporter of the Walker College of Business. He is both a Dean's Club member and a scholarship donor, and I believe your scholarship recipient is seated at your table with you today. His wife, Janet, is also with him, and she is a proud alumna of the Walker College of Business, and they have a son, Zach, who graduated from ASU a couple of years ago. So welcome home, and welcome to this event. Mr. Brown, we're very interested to hear your comments today.
Thanks. Thank you, Dr. Moore. Thank you. So before I get started, everybody has to hold this picture up. Okay? So I promise I am not an imposter. If you ever have any doubt about airbrushing and an expensive photographer, this is proof. There's a story behind this. It goes back about 3.5 years ago, but I won't bore you with that. So thanks to all of you for coming out today. Before I get to the core of my comments, I want to give you a little bit of insight about me, about my background, and really who I am. So my successes to date, if you were to think about all the accomplishments that you heard Dr. Norris talk about, it's really a story of beating the odds. And by that I mean when I was a kid, parents divorced when I was 12 years old, and I'd really been the man around the house for a lot of years prior to that. So when you think about being a student, I was an average student at best. So in high school, I was like a lot of kids. I made some bad choices. I didn't prioritize. And if you think about how I got to where I am, it didn't have a lot to do with my prior thinking as a kid. But after high school, like a lot of teenagers, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I attended Wilkes Community College and got an associate in arts degree and came to Appalachian for my junior year. Well, throughout that year, my family was having a lot of hardships, a lot of financial hardships, and a lot of things happening. So at the conclusion of that junior year, I left Appalachian, started to work at Lowe's companies, started in the warehouse of Lowe's at Morgan store, making $4.50 an hour. Well, you think about what happened back at that point, I didn't realize what I had stepped into. I'd found my niche really by accident. So for almost 28 years, shy of a month, I thrived in that environment, and really I had beaten the odds. When I retired from Lowe's in June 2012, I was one of the top 5 highest compensated employees in the Fortune 50 international retailer. So I had beaten the odds. The reason I share this with you really is twofold. It's first for the students. I want all the students to know that regardless of your real or perceived caps or obstacles, you can beat the odds. However, today, in my opinion, it requires a college education at a minimum. In addition, whatever path you choose, always be committed to making a difference, and always be relentless in your pursuit of your goals. Second, for all the enablers for these students, continue to help those who are overachievers to achieve to their fullest potential. And challenge yourself and your colleagues to always make a difference by expanding on your impact that you make and your colleagues make as well. As you probably already figured out, part of my comments today are about making a difference. And all of you here today are already making a difference. By expanding on the impact that you make, we can make a bigger difference as time goes on. We have roughly 200 people in the room today, and we're all part of the same family, the Appalachian family, bound by a desire to help, to create, to achieve, and to ultimately make a difference with the things that we do. For the students, you've been entrusted with a terrific gift. Yes, the scholarships that you've received, but more importantly, the confidence that's been placed in you and the sponsorship that you received, not just from your sponsors, but also from the Appalachian family. Along the way, you've made great impressions on a lot of people. You stood out among the rest. And in essence, all of you students are first-round draft picks. You've earned a great deal of respect and recognition to be here today. And you've been empowered to make a difference. And by the way, you picked a great school with some of the best educators in the nation. We're very proud of Appalachian, aren't we, Janet? You're uniquely special also. You're driven, you're passionate about your cause, and you're committed to doing your best. As a group, 2/3 of the students here have a GPA of 3.5 or higher. You all need a round of applause. It's very obvious this group is focused, but I'm a believer with focus, determination, and a can-do attitude that we can always do more, regardless of how much we've accomplished. So here are some thoughts for making a difference. First, for the students. While you're at App, stretch beyond your comfort boundaries. Take electives which broaden your exposure and experience in your thinking and your knowledge. You'll be a better leader and a contributor both today and in the future from the experiences that you gain. Work on and expand your collaboration skills. This is an area that I personally feel like I get a D in for most of my working career. If you think about my experience at Lowe's, I spent a lot of time collaborating with my core team, but I didn't collaborate externally to others in same roles that I could have brought back a tremendous amount of experience and knowledge and been more of a global impact to my team. Don't get me wrong, I made an impact while I had a great career at Lowe's, but I could have been a terrific contributor where I fell short at times had I stepped out and been better at collaboration across channels outside of my comfort zone at Lowe's. The other, get involved in interest groups, which are always improving situations and making things better. Time is precious, but I promise you, you'll never have the autonomy and freedom that you have today as a student to get involved in those groups and learn from those experiences to help you be a better contributor to society down the road. Be a peer role model. You have a lot of visibility to your peers. College can be tough, can't it? So be a peer role model to your peers because you're very resourceful. You know how to get things done and how to make a difference. So be there when your peers need some coaching along the way. And finally, throughout life, at the end of each day, ask yourself, did I do my very best today? And remember, to whom much is given, much is expected. For the sponsors, we're scholarship sponsors for a reason. Some of us for a memorial to a loved one, some because we had someone do a similar gift to us in the past, some because we're just simply committed to helping others. Regardless, we're very fortunate to be in the situation and position to do what we do today. And thanks to all of you for truly making a difference to these students. As we reflect on how we can truly make a difference, we all know that writing the check is the easy part. And for many years, which my wife will attest to, that was my plan. Writing the check, moving on, that was my contribution. But as I've gotten wiser and started listening more to my wife, Janet, of almost 30 years, who, again, is an Appalachian grad. Right, Janet? She was supposed to nod that I'm listening to her, but obviously that didn't work. We missed our cue there. So the reality of all this stuff, I work for her, by the way, is what it amounts to, but anyway. But I realized through her helping me that I can do more to make a difference than just write a check. So since my corporate retirement, and by the way, my retirement definition is a heck of a lot different than what's in Webster's. I call it entrepreneurial, I call it just growth and excitement. My wife will call it insanity, right? No, I'm fortunate to have her along for the ride. But seriously, since my retirement, I've taken the time to help students, kids, and even adults prepare themselves for the job market, to be prepared to go into the interview setting and to make the most impact they can with that interview. And so far, I've got a pretty good batting average. If I were in professional baseball, I'd be well ahead of Derek Jeter, by the way. But it's another story for another day. If you think about you as sponsors, the knowledge you have, the background you have, others pale in comparison to what you can bring to someone that you can help with the interviewing process. For the sponsors, make it a point to be engaged and work with others to help them be prepared to go into the work environment or to become a better student along the way. Do more than simply write the check. The other thing is provide help with internships. So provide internships and then help with internships. Some of you already provide internships, and that's terrific, and thanks to you for doing that. If you can't provide the internship, I know without question you have access to colleagues or businesses that can provide those internships. So your enthusiasm and your interest in giving back can hopefully make those folks make the decision to get engaged and offer internships as well. And lastly, thanks to all the sponsors, your impact one day may be the foundation for the next Steve Jobs, or for the next Teacher of the Year who was voted by their peers as the best in education in their market. So think about the impact that you could have. So thanks to everyone's time, or thanks for your time today, and thanks for helping Appalachian be a terrific school. Thanks.
My name is Tim Forsyth, and I have to tell you, I think I have the best job today in this event because I get to introduce two of the students. And one of the students I actually had the pleasure of introducing to another group about a year ago for a scholarship, and that is Miss Kristen Wheeler. But before I introduce Kristen, I want to say thank you, first of all, to the staff in the Dean's office for all their work in putting this on. But I want to give a special thanks to Lynn Campagnoni. And where is Lynn? She's probably hiding. Anyway, I want to thank Lynn. She's out there working. I want to thank Lynn for all of her work. I think many of the donors and all of the students have been working with Lynn and know how hard she's worked on this. Lynn, we just want to say thank you. So that's Lynn Campagnoni. As I think you'll see, we have a lot of very talented young people in our college and a lot of very talented, brilliant people who are receiving scholarships. But I'm going to introduce you to a couple of those students who have some interesting stories. I told you that I had introduced Kristen Wheeler at a scholarship reception down in Charlotte about a year ago. And I was getting ready to just give the little bio that she had provided. And we were sitting at the table, and I said, "Is there anything more you want to add to this?" And she started telling me some things about herself. I said, "My gosh, I had no idea. I had no idea." So I'm not going to tell you what she told me because I'm going to let her tell you. So my little intro is this. Kristen is a student in the Masters of Science program in accounting. She had as a goal to finish her undergrad in 3 years, which she did, and to be admitted into the master's program, and she's now a master's student in accounting. She is the recipient of several scholarships, the Smith Leonard Scholarship. Smith Leonard is one of the accounting firms that hires our accounting students. She has the Financial Executives International Scholarship, as well as a Dean's Club Scholarship. Kristen has had to work her way through school. She has worked at Old Navy and at Tweetsie. And at Tweetsie, I think for the last 3 years, she's been working 20 to 30 hours a week while taking enough hours to finish school in 3 years and maintaining a high GPA. She went through the accounting internship recruiting process during her senior year, and as I said, was able to get an internship with Smith Leonard. She has accepted a full-time position for Smith Leonard for after she finishes her master's program. So, Kristen, come on up here and tell them the best part of the story.
I'm a little short. Okay. I think you told most of my speech, but I'll just repeat it. Okay. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Chancellor Everts, Dr. Norris, the Dean's Office staff, and Walker College of Business faculty. I'm honored to be given the opportunity to represent the Walker College of Business today and to personally congratulate all students for your hard work and your dedication to school. I'm honored, sorry, a little nervous. We are all exceptionally thankful for donors' willingness to take the time out of your busy lives to be here with us today. We can't thank you enough for your generosity and your support. It is your support that motivates me and other students to be our absolute best each and every day. A few weeks ago, I was called to the Dean's office and asked to speak with Will Sears. I had no idea why I was going, and as I walked into his office, he said, "Tell me your story." I was a little shocked, and I didn't know why he was asking me. As I started to tell him my story, I realized that something that I thought was just me living my own life, working and going to classes, was worth so much more. I have never felt that I moved someone so much until that day. When I finished my story, Will slid an envelope across the table, and he said, "The whole reason you are called to my office today is because you have been accepted to receive the Walker College of Business Dean's Club Scholarship." I was speechless. I actually cried in his office. Will asked me if I would come here today and share my story, and so here it is. So to understand my story, you must start as I was a young high school student. My parents made it clear that my expenses, including rent, college tuition, car insurance, health insurance, utilities, and other living expenses, would be my full responsibility. I began working at age 14 at a Japanese restaurant while attending high school, and I haven't stopped yet. 3 years ago, on August 23rd, 2011, as a young 17-year-old, I started my first day of Appalachian courses. Having enjoyed high school accounting courses, I set my #1 goal to obtain an undergraduate and graduate degree from Appalachian. As a freshman acquiring my first student loan, I thought to myself that 5 years of college debt was just too much to handle. I began to think of ways to decrease my expenses. I then set my #1 goal to eliminate a full year of expenses by finishing my undergraduate degree in 3 years and using my 4th year to get my master's. I worked exceptionally hard at my studies in order to maintain a GPA above a 3.0, and in order to pay my expenses, I worked full-time, at times, between Old Navy of Boone and Tweetsie Railroad. I also spent time volunteering with Gamma Beta Phi National Honor Society while in college, and along the way, my dreams were coming true, until one day, I began experiencing heart palpitations. I was born with supraventricular tachycardia, or SVT, but throughout my life, I experienced little to no symptoms of this heart disease. Last summer, which was the summer before my 3rd academic school year here at Appalachian, I began experiencing fainting spells and other complications related to this disease. At the time, I was working as an accounts payable clerk, entering invoices at Tweetsie Railroad, and also the internal auditor of cash in the safe. In addition to my work responsibility, I was registered to take Intermediate Accounting 1 in the first summer session, and Intermediate Accounting 2 and Nonprofit in the second summer session. These are 3 of the hardest accounting courses in the undergrad program, and they were the last 3 that I needed in order to go through the internship recruiting process that fall, which is called Meet the Firms, by the way. Although I had these obligations, I realized I had no control over the situation, and I understood that health comes first. I scheduled a catheter ablation heart procedure at UNC Chapel Hill Hospital during the 1-week break between my very 2 tough summer sessions. This process was one of the scariest moments in my life, but possibly the next was my decision to drive back to Boone the following Monday of my procedure that was on Friday to begin my 2nd session of summer courses without my parents' care or anyone to look after me. Despite my parents' wishes to stay on bed rest for a few weeks, I was determined to get back to school and to finish that summer so that I could complete an accounting internship and still graduate within my 3-year plan. Although I experienced complications even after returning to Boone, I had to go to Watauga Medical, I succeeded, and last fall, I interviewed with many public accounting firms. I received 3 internships for the spring of 2014, and I accepted an auditing internship at Smith Leonard in High Point. It was one of the best experiences in my life. I learned more about accounting, life, and work ethic in a 10-week internship than I ever have or imagined that I would. Upon completion of my internship, I accepted an offer full-time, and I will start in August of 2015. Just a few short months after my 20th birthday last year, I applied for the Master's of Accounting program here at Appalachian. I'm pleased to say that I was accepted. This is my 4th year as a college student, and I just turned 21, and I have just completed my first few weeks in the General Track program. I'm the youngest student in the program, and I've already passed one of the 4 sections of the CPA exam. My dreams as I finish perhaps my last academic year are to succeed in the master's program, to fully pass the CPA exam, and to help inspire students to push their limits and work their absolute best each and every day. Throughout my career as an Appalachian student, many people, including family members and close friends, have doubted me. They believed that graduating with an accounting degree in 3 years was impossible. They believed that attending classes after having a heart procedure was impossible. And they believed that it was impossible for a 20-year-old to be accepted into the Master's of Accounting program at Appalachian. But I am proving that there is no such thing as impossible when you give something your all. I thank you, scholarship donors, not only for your scholarships, which will help us financially, but also just for believing in us. On behalf of all students, we will continue to show perseverance and academic excellence as we complete our last year as Appalachian students. And students, we should cherish these days here and now and appreciate everything that the Walker College of Business, including Dr. Norris, staff, faculty, and others have given to us. I truly hope to give back to students one day, as all of you have given to me. Thank you for your consideration, your time, generosity, and support.
I think you can see why I think I have the best job to introduce these people. I didn't tell half your speech because the best part was the part you told, and I enjoyed hearing it again. So, our next speaker is a young man, has a little different story. He grew up in Boone. He's the recipient of the Elizabeth Snow and Jeffrey Mick Endowed Scholarship, the F.P. Bodie Bodenheimer Junior Leadership Endowed Scholarship, and the Johnson Price Sprinkle Accounting Scholarship. Cody has played football at Appalachian State since his freshman year while maintaining a 3.95 GPA. Yeah, pretty good. So that pretty much says enough, doesn't it? But he has some other things going on outside the classroom and off the football field. He's a community volunteer. He has volunteered to speak and participate in events at Blowing Rock School and at other events around the county. And he had sent me a note saying that he's represented Appalachian State football and served as a role model for elementary school students. He also spoke at a middle school event in Spruce Pine about the dangers of drugs and alcohol. He also serves as a role model on the football team. He leads a football Bible study group, and in that role he applies Bible lessons to real-life situations, and he said he supports his teammates with spiritual and everyday needs. He's an active member of the Collegians for Christ Bible Study. He's also has served as an officer in the Association of Marketing Students. Cody mentioned that playing football at the university level is very demanding in terms of time, attention, and effort. But during breaks from football and classes, I happen to notice he's always maintained a job. And if I did the math right, Cody, it looked like you started working the summer after the 8th grade. Is that right? Yeah. So let's welcome Cody McKinney to the podium to tell us his story.
All right. So, like Dr. Forsyth said, my name is Cody McKinney, and I'm a junior majoring in accounting at the Walker College of Business. And I just like to say I'm extremely grateful for receiving the scholarships that I've received, and would like to thank all of you for your contributions that allow students like me to receive an education and pursue goals outside of the classroom. From an early age, I knew that I wanted to come to Appalachian. I was and still am a huge football fan. I've played football all my life and have been watching Appalachian football for just as long. I can remember, coming to games before the championship years when the stadium was half the size it is now. Deciding to come to the game at 11 o'clock when kickoff was at 12, casually driving to the stadium, parking anywhere, sitting anywhere. If some of your friends were at the games, you could play pickup game of football on the bank. Those could get intense. But I watched all the biggest games as Appalachian grew. The Miracle on the Mountain, the 3 national championships, and I was in Chattanooga for 2 of them. And of course, watching the biggest upset in college football history at Michigan. Naturally, it was my dream to come to Appalachian and play football here. Also, after I decided I wanted to be a business major, I was very happy to learn that one of the best business schools in the country was in my hometown. So I knew Appalachian was the place for me. I come from a middle-class family. My dad's a commercial plumber, and my mom is a locate agent for Watauga County, and I'm glad they could be here today. My dad had owned his own plumbing business for 22 years, but due to the downturn in the economy in 2008 and the slow return of the construction industry, my dad's plumbing business really struggled to stay ahead. There was a short period of time where he had to draw unemployment because he simply had no jobs to do. Luckily, a job opportunity came open here at Appalachian at the steam plant, and he was fortunate enough to get the job. So my parents have always had to work really hard in order for me and my sister to get the things that we needed and let us pursue the goals that we dreamed of achieving. They always taught me how important it was to attain a college education in hopes that I wouldn't have to work as hard as they did to get by. My parents never had the opportunity to go to college, so they always wanted me and my sister to get the chance to achieve something they never got a shot at. Dad would always tell me, and still does, make sure you go to college and get some good paying office job. That way you can sit in a nice temperature controlled building and so you don't freeze to death in the winter and melt in the summer like I've had to do. I knew they would help me all they could to pay for school, but ultimately they didn't have the money, so I needed to find a way to pay for a vast majority, pretty much almost all of it, of my education. I knew that if I was going to play football at the college level, that there was no way I could have a job to try to earn enough money to pay for my education while being successful in the classroom and on the football field. I knew that if I wanted to pursue my dream of playing football at App, that I would have to earn scholarships. Now, I was a pretty good player in high school. I was all conference and a team captain, won a few awards here and there, but I was, 5'9", and at the time I weighed 165 pounds playing middle linebacker. So I've gained about 45 pounds since then. But I was undersized for my position, and to say the least, and really still am. But and while I had some scholarship offers from some smaller schools, I wasn't really heavily recruited by App. But I was offered a walk-on position if I wanted to try out, which naturally I accepted and was super excited about. And I made the team and have been playing there for 3 years now. And our schedule, it's insane sometimes. The NCAA lets us practice, meet, and lift for a total of 20 hours per week. And games are counted for 3 hours for simplicity's sake, but really the whole day is devoted to football, plus traveling time if we're away. For a quick sample of a travel schedule, I think 3 weeks ago now, we went to Georgia Southern. We left at 12 on Wednesday, played Thursday night, left the stadium around 11 that night, drove 6 straight hours back to Boone. I got home around 6 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock, got a solid 3 hours of sleep before I had to go to class at 10 on Friday morning, and I had 3 classes that day. So that was a pretty exhausting day. But so factoring in 20 hours of football and taking between 12 and 16 hours of classes, homework, being a member of both university and college business honors programs, doing some extracurricular clubs here and there, and maintaining a 3.95 GPA, I stay pretty busy. That's why academic scholarships mean so much to me. Without scholarships, it would be impossible for me to do all the things that I do. It costs me around $18,000 a year to go to college, and I have nowhere near that much money, and neither do my parents. I would literally have to work every waking hour I wasn't in school to pay for education if I didn't receive scholarships. I would have to give up on my dream of playing college football for this university, a dream that I've worked for my entire football career. I've invested countless hours on the field, in the weight room, and in film study trying to perfect my craft, and I love every minute of it. Lost my spot. Yeah. But to think that in order to finance the necessity of a college degree, I would have to throw away all that time, sweat, and effort is heartbreaking. And on the flip side of that, the satisfaction of living a lifelong goal, living the dream, is amazing. I got to play my first career play at Michigan this year in the biggest stadium in the country in front of 106,000 people, plus a national TV audience. That's surreal. I would have never imagined getting the opportunity to do something like that. So I cannot express how thankful I am for receiving these scholarships because they allow me to continue to live the dream. I'm thankful towards all of you who have contributed, and would like to thank God and my parents for all they've done for me. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm going to go over a few logistics, but first of all, Cody, thank you. Tell you a quick story. John Sykes and Bodie Bodenheimer fund that leadership scholarship that you received. And about a year ago, John was speaking at graduation. By happenstance, your name was in the paper. You may remember that. You led the team in tackles for a spring game. And he was sitting there and he said, "Isn't that the gentleman that you and Dr. Edwards were telling me about?" I said, "Yeah, he's your scholarship recipient." He mentioned you on stage that day, and he said, "I'm so glad we can help him follow his dreams." So, good deal. Neither one can make it, but said to tell you hello and congratulations. Kristen, you left something out of your speech. I want to thank you. But that day you shared your story with me was a day I'll never forget. And what Kristen didn't tell everybody was I was crying more than she was crying. Finally, she got up and shut the door. But what amazed me was Kristen, as she told her story, it was just her story. And when she told it, it was just who you are, and that's great. But it moved me. And so I want to challenge every student. Your story may not be Kristen's story. It may not be Cody's story. It may not be Mike Brown's story. It's your story. And embrace your story. Embrace your positives and negatives. Use them to motivate you. Use them to make you grow and get better in life. So that's my challenge. I also want to thank Tim Forsyth. Tim said, "Hey, I want you to meet somebody." And introduced me to Kristen and had her come by. But you know, really, I think that's what separates Appalachian. Only at Appalachian would a chair of an accounting department have that vested interest in their students. And I'll never forget Dr. Dawn Medlin, the chair of the CIS when I was back in the day. She took a vested interest in a lot of my former students and colleagues with me. And that only happens here at ASU. So I want to thank Tim, and I want to thank all the chairs and faculty for believing in our students. Also, thank the supporters. We appreciate it. Thanks for believing in the students, and thanks for believing in the College of Business. We very much appreciate your support. I'm supposed to go over logistics. Sorry, Lynn. Here are the logistics, how we're going to do this from here on out. Thanks to everyone for being here. We would like to get some photos to remember this day. On the back of your name tag, I am at photo station 1. Photo station 2 is to the left. If you have a 2, you'll take your picture there. The other number is where your picture will be. If you're 4, you're the 4th picture at 2. Apologize for the confusion there. I'm honored that we're tight in this room because it means we've had a lot of support for students. We appreciate that. If you have an opportunity to get a picture, we'd very much appreciate that. And I know the students would appreciate it. So thanks for everyone for being here. We appreciate it. We're adjourned.